Welcome back to the Lost Tactician, where we uncover the tactical brilliance and survival wisdom that history tried to bury. Today, we're stepping into the workshops of ancient Rome, where craftsmen wielded not just hammers and chisels, but chemical knowledge that would protect their wooden structures for centuries. While modern lumber rots within decades, certain Roman constructions still stand defiant against time itself. The question that haunts archaeologists and builders alike is deceptively simple. How did they do it? The answer lies in two humble substances, ash and oil, combined with an understanding of materials that rivals our own. This is the story of Roman wood preservation, an ancient survival tactic that modern industry has tried to replace with toxic chemicals, but never truly surpassed. The Roman enigma. When wood defied time, stand before the weathered timbers of Herculaneum, buried and preserved by Vesuvius in 79 AD, and you witness something impossible by modern standards. Wood that should have disintegrated into dust maintains structural integrity nearly 2,000 years later. Walk through the excavated Roman harbours, and you find dock pilings still sound, still resistant to the very organisms that would consume untreated lumber in a single generation. The contrast is stark and undeniable. Today's pressure-treated wood, saturated with copper compounds and synthetic preservatives, promises 30 years of service if you're lucky. Roman builders achieved centuries with nothing but materials they could gather from their own hearths and olive groves. The mystery deepens when you realize the Romans weren't simply lucky, they were methodical. Their engineers understood something fundamental about the relationship between wood, pests, and chemical intervention. Termites, the ancient enemy of any wooden structure, couldn't penetrate their defenses. Wood-boring beetles found no purchase in Roman timber. Rot, that inevitable breakdown of organic material, seemed to pause in the presence of Roman-treated wood. Modern scientists examining these ancient timbers find evidence of deliberate treatment, a systematic application of substances that fundamentally altered the wood's vulnerability. Ash, the alkaline shield. The first component of Rome's defensive arsenal was ash, not just any ash, but carefully selected residue from specific burning processes. When the Romans collected ash from their furnaces and hearths, they were harvesting a complex chemical weapon. Wood ash, particularly from hardwoods, contains potassium carbonate and calcium carbonate, creating a powerfully alkaline environment that insects find inhospitable. The pH shift alone makes the wood unpalatable to termites, whose digestive systems evolved to process cellulose in its natural, slightly acidic state. But the Romans understood something more subtle. Ash contains silica particles, microscopic shards of mineral content that physically reinforce wood fibers, while abrading the soft bodies of invading insects. Ancient texts hint at this knowledge. While Vitruvius documented extensively the use of volcanic ash, pozzolana, in their legendary concrete, passing references in agricultural manuals and building guides suggest ash applications extended beyond masonry. Roman builders weren't working from chemical equations, but from generations of empirical observation. They noticed that wood stored near ash piles lasted longer. They observed that timber treated with ash resisted the pests that devoured untreated wood. Through trial, error, and meticulous record-keeping, they refined a process that modern analysis confirms was, chemically sound. The application method mattered enormously. Romans didn't simply dust ash onto wood surfaces. They created paste-like mixtures, working the ash deep into the grain through repeated applications. The alkaline compounds migrated into the wood's cellular structure, creating a hostile environment throughout the timber's depth, not merely its surface. This penetration was crucial. Surface treatments wear away, but impregnated wood carries its protection within. Oil, the binding seal. Ash alone, however, would wash away with the first rain. The second element of Roman ingenuity was oil, likely olive oil, abundant throughout the Mediterranean and already central to Roman industry. Oil served multiple functions in this preservation system. First, it acted as a binding agent, capturing the ash particles and holding them against the wood's surface as it penetrated. Second, oil filled the wood's pores, creating a water-resistant barrier that prevented moisture accumulation, the primary catalyst for rot. Third, the oil itself proved toxic to many wood-boring insects, whose respiratory systems just couldn't tolerate the coating. The synergy between ash and oil created something greater than either substance alone. The oil carried the ash deeper into the wood than water-based applications could achieve. The ash made the oil more durable, preventing it from simply evaporating or oxidizing as quickly as untreated oil would. Together, they formed a matrix within the wood that was simultaneously physical barrier, chemical deterrent, and environmental shield. Archaeological analysis of Roman timber shows distinctive patterns consistent with oil and ash treatment, densely packed ash particles held in an oil matrix, penetrating sometimes several millimeters into the wood grain. The Romans likely used warm or heated oil for maximum penetration, applied in multiple coats over days or weeks. Each application would drive the treatment deeper, building up layers of protection that became integral to the wood itself. This wasn't a quick process. It was craftsmanship, requiring patience and skill. But the result was timber that could withstand conditions that would destroy modern treated wood within years. Today, as we grapple with the environmental consequences of chemical wood preservatives, copper leaching into soil, arsenic contaminating groundwater, the Roman method offers more than historical curiosity. It presents a blueprint for sustainable preservation using non-toxic, readily available materials. Modern experiments recreating Roman ash and oil treatments show remarkable effectiveness against termites and rot, sometimes matching or even exceeding contemporary chemical treatments without any of the environmental hazards. The Romans built for eternity with materials from their immediate surroundings. Their wood preservation wasn't inferior technology awaiting modern improvement. It was sophisticated materials science achieved through observation, experimentation, and respect for natural processes. While their volcanic ash concrete justly receives attention for structures that strengthen with age, their wood treatments deserve equal recognition. Both demonstrate a civilization that understood durability not through brute force or toxic intervention, but through working with materials' inherent properties. This knowledge wasn't lost accidentally. It faded because industrial chemistry promised easier, faster solutions. But standing before Roman structures that outlasted those modern promises, we're reminded that the old ways weren't primitive. They were proven. If this journey into ancient survival tactics and forgotten wisdom resonates with you, hit that like button and subscribe to The Lost Tactician. We're dedicated to unearthing the practical knowledge that kept our ancestors alive and their creations standing against the centuries. Share this with anyone who believes modern always means better, because sometimes the best tactics are the ones that time itself couldn't defeat.